and thank you, dear Catherine, who not only sang that, but who composed it. So thank you, dear Catherine. So are you ready to move more fully in a process of doing your part to heal the planet and lift yourselves and all humanity to a level of pure love consciousness? Or I hope you're all saying yes to that. Because if you are, it's time to unbuckle your seatbelts and release anything else that may be holding you back from the next step in human evolution and doing your part. So my purpose in today's message is to support you doing your part to heal the planet and lift yourself and others to a level of pure love consciousness. And that's the human condition, human consciousness. Charles Fillmore, our Unity co-founder, called it race consciousness. It's the consciousness of the human race. And the spiritual solution is pure love consciousness. So this is the third of a three-part series that I've done this month based on mystic and unity minister Reverend Jim Rosemergy's book, The Third Coming. Some of you remember that Jim was with us about a year and a half ago when he and his wife Nancy were traveling in New Mexico in their RV. So in The Third Coming, Jim outlines the first coming, the second coming, and the third coming. The first coming is the birth of a way shower and our understanding of the message of the way shower, which is our divinity. And we raise consciousness by discovering the Christ within, by claiming it, by harnessing its power. So the first coming is directly related to the first part of our mission statement, raise consciousness. The second coming is related to our second part of our mission statement, transform lives, because we transform lives by being the way shower's message in the world, and thereby being a way shower ourselves. Whereas traditional Christianity promises communion with God in the future, the hereafter, in Unity, we believe that God is calling to us to open ourselves to an experience of God today, right now, not putting it off till we die, and to know, experience, and give expression to the living presence of God right now, here on earth, thereby bringing heaven to earth. So the third coming is related to our third part of our mission statement, heal the planet. And so you're invited to heal the planet by doing your part, me doing my part, to usher in the next step in evolution, when the entire human race will be lifted to a level of pure love consciousness. So when we raise our consciousness in the first coming, transform our life in the second coming, we lay the foundation for the third coming, in which we do our part to heal the planet by lifting ourselves and the entire human race to that level of pure love consciousness that we also in Unity call Christ consciousness. So what is it what is this next step in human evolution all about? Well, it's about mastering the energies of love, and that's love with a capital L. Some of you may be familiar with brilliant and controversial Jesuit priest and paleontologist Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who wrote, "The day will come when, after mastering the ether, the winds, the tides, gravity, we shall master the energies of love for God. And then, for the second time in the history of the world, man will have made fire his servant." Wow. When we master the energies of love, For the second time, we will have made fire our servant. Can I get an amen to that, even if it's muted? Amen. So Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote, "Love is the power that joins and binds in divine harmony the universe and everything in it." He actually shortened that, made it even more simple by saying, "Love is the glue that holds the universe together." I love that. Love is the glue that holds the universe together. You see, love was present and active in the first cell of life on this planet. And in order to survive, the power of love in individual cells attracted and combined with other cells, strengthening them to better cope with life and continue the process of evolution. So this love is an energy and power that is in a continual process of pulling everything in the universe together toward greater and more complex consciousness. And as such, love is the force behind the internal tendency for everything in the universe to unite and bring about an ending of duality. In other words, love is the power that is at the heart of our oneness with God, with each other, and all that is. I always like to say that even though it's not grammatically correct, the true statement isn't God and I are one, it's God and I is one, okay? And that's something we can all say. God and I is one. You know, that's one of the challenges of language. As soon as we start speaking, our language is dualistic in nature. So it's very hard to talk about oneness. We need to just focus on experiencing it. So the energy and power of love increases our awareness of the presence and power of our divinity, God, right in the midst of us. And when we all develop a new understanding of love and its existence in everything that is, we will more fully recognize our magnificence. We will all be joined in a state of pure love consciousness, and we will realize our oneness in God, our Christ essence, what Chardin calls the omega point. And at that moment, our mind will be released from the material universe and we will find freedom in the stillness of God Omega. Chardin actually called this next step in evolution a peduncle. He says, well, they're all peduncles. Every time there's been a evolution happens, it's a breakthrough that he calls a peduncle. And so that next peduncle breakthrough will be pure love consciousness. So I'm excited. So Chardin and Fillmore both saw this as the next step in evolution, a spiritual breakthrough in which each one of us has a role to play. And guess what? The sooner we do our part, the sooner that breakthrough will happen for the planet. And after 2020, I think we're ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's do our part. But why? Well, mastering the energies of love is our job, but it's up to each one of us to accept the assignment. Why? Well, what's in it for you? When you awaken spiritually, peace, power, compassion, and creativity is released from within. You are blessed and you are a blessing to the world as you are lifted and as I am lifted into pure love consciousness. And in that process, you raise consciousness, your own and the entire human race. You transform lives, your own and others, and you heal the planet, one person at a time, beginning with you. I think Rosemergy does a magnificent job of explaining our part in mastering the energies of love for the next breakthrough in evolution, which is being driven by our consciousness. He reminds us that we are not being asked to continue as we are, but to actually rewrite our genetic code by becoming aware of what we are, so that love and compassion no longer need to be learned because they are our natural state. And this is an absolute necessity if we are to overcome the problems we face as a human family. And these problems are problems that cannot be solved on a human level. The solution to these problems require us to awaken spiritually and bring about a breakthrough of cosmic proportion that will be an incredible force for good in the cosmos. So this is an awesome calling that cannot be accomplished until all the players, every member of the human family, is awake enough to hear the Creator's message. So therefore, it's vital that we support one another's awakening. Now remember, the Christ as you is already spiritually awake. And humanly, each of us experiences awakened moments. But our goal is to experience more and more awakened moments until we are fully awake, 24/7. Yes, even when we're asleep, we're spiritually awake. Rosemergy lists some ways in which we are already spiritually awake and doing our part to heal the planet. So I invite you to consider which of these ways you are already experiencing, and just silently consider which of the following statements are true for you. Maybe not 24/7, but here and there. So just feel these as I make these statements, because I'm talking about you, each one of you and me. I know that I am more than body, thought, and feeling. I access ideas seemingly unavailable to other people. I have great powers of persistence. My strongest urge is not personal needs or survival, but compassion and love of others. I am humble, non-resistant, and meek, yet amazingly powerful. I lead by example. My decision-making is intuitive. I take no thought for my life and instead allow my life to unfold from a divine center. My values are few, simple, and pure. I am driven by a mission that has been given to me by the Creator. I am interested in the whole of humanity rather than the single self. I know true power. Mystery is my friend. I do not try to control the lives of others. I am not even trying to control my own life. As illumined as I am, I don't know what is best for myself, let alone what's best for others. I am not a king. I am a servant to others, to the earth, and to the cosmos. I am never alone, not only because I know my oneness with God, but because who I am includes everyone. I know everyone as a part of me, and therefore I accept all people as they are, thus enabling others to become what they are capable of being. So exactly how do we master the energies of love? Well, guess what? The same thing every week at Unity Santa Fe, prayer and meditation. This time, though, we're going to focus on the deepest and truest prayer. And that prayer is silence. When we commune in the silence, we invite the activity of God, and we evolve from believing in God to experiencing God. We evolve from being in the way of God to being the way of God. In silence, we take our understanding of our oneness from our head to our hearts. We take it from theory into practice. In the silence, we know, capital K, capital N, capital O, capital W, in the Middle Eastern sense of the word. To know means to know with every cell and atom of our bodies, our hearts, our souls, our minds. We know oneness. We know there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in our lives. Now remember, silence is the presence of God, not the absence of sound. There may be all kinds of sounds going on in the world, right in the midst of sitting in the silence. But in the silence is pure love presence. In the silence, when we are truly in the silence, we don't hear anything. We don't think anything. We feel no sensation. If we think we're in the silence and we're feeling sensation, words, or thoughts, then we're not truly in the silence with a capital S. Because in the silence, there is no sensation, no words, no thoughts. That's why I want us to be the first no thought spiritual community in the New Thought movement. And guess what? There's only one place we can know this presence of God, this oneness. And that is in the silence of the now moment. We can't know it yesterday or tomorrow. We can't know it 2 minutes ago or 2 minutes from now. We can only know the silence and the presence and the oneness in the now moment. This is what the great way showers discovered. They discovered this and they received their message in the silence, where they listened to the message of the presence. And don't get confused. In the silence itself, you don't hear a message. It's more of an unspoken message. It's when we come out of the silence that we get the download. We may get the download immediately, or maybe it's 5 minutes from now, 5 hours, or 5 days from now. But the message that we get while we're in the silence is without words, without sound, without sensation. And so they listened to the message of the presence. They allowed the presence to transform them. And that's a very important point. And don't miss this subtle point. The way showers allowed the presence to transform them. because that's not something we can do of our human selves. It's the power within that does the work. It's the power within that we tap into in the silence that does the work. So the way showers learned the language of silence. They discovered its power. They received transcendent thoughts and insights through it. And through it, they entered the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. And so can you, and so can I. In practicing the silence, our prayers are transformed from spoken words to simple listening, even as we overcome the difficulties of listening by quieting or at least not resisting our wandering minds. As we practice the silence, the power of the silence, we go beyond hearing the sounds of our own thoughts, feelings, and images. As we learn the language of silence, we consciously connect with the mind of God and receive from that one mind powerful insights, ideas, thoughts, feelings, and images that are new and that impact us and our worldview as it calls us to take action in our lives and in the world. Before we reach this point, we have to be non-resistant. We have to accept the unruly chatter of our minds and our existing thoughts, feelings, and images, no longer labeling them as positive or negative, but just observing them and giving them free passage. Give them free passage through the mind. Don't set up a condo, don't set up camp or build a condo in the thoughts. Just give them free passage. And in so doing, we lessen them and we open our ears to the still, small voice. And as we continue awakening spiritually, our prayers change from focusing on our problems to experiencing the presence. In the process, earthly problems are solved. And we begin to hunger and thirst more for God realization. The realization that God does not have what we want, that God is what we want, and that knowing God is enough. It is our all-sufficiency. When we have an earthly challenge, we turn to divine intelligence, rest quietly, focus our minds with the understanding that there is an answer. And we sit in the question in the silence. And we're given answers and guidance through images, dreams, thoughts, and ideas, which come as we leave the silence and after we have left the silence. Now, there is a warning. You know how there's a warning on cigarette packages? Well, here's the warning to today's message. Silence shows us both the light and the darkness of our souls. The silence shows us the truth of our being and our beauty, as well as our mistakes, and parts of us we haven't known or that we'd rather not know. So we're asked to experience and accept our mistakes, our insecurities, guilt, and any other expressions of our humanity that we might consider dark. We're asked to accept ourselves just the way we are, because that's the way our Creator accepts us. So acceptance helps us feel God's power in us. And the result is peace. As we accept ourselves and our mistakes, we're able to accept other people and their mistakes. And we're able to contribute to the spiritual awakening of the human family. So we've trod the path of our wayshowers who learned about their humanity. They learned to accept their humanity so they could express their divinity. And that's why they loved us unconditionally. Not solely because they knew that within us was what we treasured in them, but because they accepted our humanity, just as they had accepted their own. So the path is simple. Silence leads to the experience of the presence, which unleashes our spiritual tendencies. And in order to fully experience the gifts of the silence, we learn to accept ourselves and then others. And it may be that we march toward the third coming one by one, or it may be that other forces and processes are at work. Hey, maybe a crisis is necessary. We awaken or we die. Imagine when a global tragedy occurs or threatens, that the people of the world stop what they are doing, become silent, and listen as we pray not for world peace, but that we are peaceful. Imagine peace enfolding the earth, even as combatants strike out at one another. Imagine hardened hearts softening, conflict ceasing, peace arising. This is the power of silence and what it can do. Jesus said, "For where two or three are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them." Not there is Jesus in the midst of them, but there am I. I am consciousness, pure love consciousness, right in the midst. Whenever at least two people are united in a spiritual purpose, something greater than the two of them is present. This is the principle. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So when at least two people, like you and me, are united in a wholesome purpose, something greater than the two of us emerges. You may have heard the concept of the 100th monkey, that people can reach a moment of critical mass followed by a massive transformation in which they burn with their own light. So everyone who has experienced spiritual awakening resonates with a divine vibration. And it is as if a tuning fork is struck, and those who are receptive can feel the vibration. So imagine a vibration so strong that each one of us can sense it. This is the third coming. When two or three are gathered for a spiritual purpose, spiritual forces are released from within them, and something greater than the sum of the people is present. The first coming began when the tree of life cast its first seed. This is God's way. For all people must have a way shower, and each way shower must simply show the way. They can't do it for us. We have to, they can just show us the way. And when we follow the path they trod and live the life they taught us to live, it is as though the way shower has come again. This is the second coming, the spiritual awakening of a human being, so that then we also become the way shower. Whenever two or more of us gather for a spiritual purpose, we are closer to this moment. Every act of loving compassion prepares the way for the third coming when everyone is awake. The new species is born, and we burn with our own light, the light of God that we are. When acts of loving compassion happen in every human heart of us, then our hearts and the love in our hearts will burn with the light of 1,000 stars. Rosemergy says, whenever even one of us awakens to our spiritual nature, a door opens through which God can do its work. The truth is no longer a possibility, it is reality. One person who is spiritually awake impacts the world and tends to awaken others from their slumber. Rosemergy just has a wonderful way of saying these things. So each of us can do our part to heal the planet by living simple lives and making a difference in the lives of people we touch every day. Imagine the power for good in a planet filled with millions of these people. This is God's plan, and you and I are being called to do our part. So I celebrate. We remember the truth. Love is the power. Mastering the energies of love is our job. The silence is the way to master the energies of love. And let's begin mastering the energies of love by being one together in a sacred time of shared prayer. So I invite you to take a moment to straighten the spine, relax the shoulders and the jaw, and settle into a comfortable posture, being present to this present moment. And as you sit here, be aware of any sounds you can hear. Listen for the sounds in the room, including your own breathing. Be aware of what you physically feel while sitting here. Feel your feet in your shoes, your bottom on the seat of the chair. Be aware of sensations you feel inside the body. Being present to what we are hearing and feeling brings us into the present moment. From here, we notice our thoughts and release them without judgment, giving them free passage. The thought is not good or bad, it simply is. We are sensitive to the thoughts, for they tell us something about ourselves, and we just reply, oh, and let them go. Next, we watch for feelings, emotions, and again, we accept them as they are, giving them free passage. This is an opportunity for healing, which prepares the soul for its awakening. Now we give our attention to spirit. This is when love begins. Spending time with God, giving God our focus and attention. We become still and listen for a few minutes in the silence.